Hey, what's up, everybody? And today I want to talk a little bit more candidly than I usually do. I think most people are probably pretty aware of what's happening, the rumors going around that Xbox is going to be going a lot more multi platform. I mean, this is a very weird, bizarre situation, but basically, more or less, they will still be making consoles. There's even rumors that they might be working on a handheld console, but they're also going to be putting their games on other platforms, meaning the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 6 and Nintendo and their next platform. The way it's kind of being worded so far, it sounds like they're going to come to Xbox first, and then maybe 6 months, a year later, who knows what the time frame will be, but then they will head over to PlayStation and Nintendo. That seems to be the gist of the rumor circulating. But there is a key word here that I think a lot of people are maybe overlooking, and that is consideration. Almost all of the reports that I have seen basically says that Microsoft is considering bringing some of their games to those platforms. And that list, while a lot of insiders are specifically naming games, I mean, we've heard about Gears of War, Indiana Jones, Starfield, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves. I mean, we've heard about a lot of these games, but I would assume if they're considering this, they're probably thinking about every single game. That's why it is under consideration. That's what we need to kind of go in with the assumption thinking. Now, are these rumors true? I believe they are. Does that mean that they will actually go through with them? That's a completely different story. Again, the key word here is consideration. From the reports going around, it sounds like the strategy is not completely finalized. That's probably why they've yet to confirm or deny these rumors. I actually have something to say about that as well, because we did get a pretty big update just a few minutes ago, actually. But I think the way I'm looking at it right now is that they probably have at least a few games that they know they want to port over. Hi-Fi Rush is probably one of them. Sea of Thieves is another game that we've heard a lot about. Though after that, maybe they're taking a little bit more consideration with some of these other games like Hellblade and Starfield and Indiana Jones, all of those. Maybe they haven't completely come to a conclusion with those games, but they are at the very least under consideration right now, and they might even possibly be leaning in that direction. What we have heard, though, is that there is some internal frustration within Xbox. Not everybody's happy about this new direction. Whatever it may end up being, there is some internal frustration. And what that kind of tells me is that there might be a power struggle here. I know a lot of people are pointing to Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer and kind of blaming them on this situation, but there might be a little bit more happening here. I think this might actually be coming from the board. I think this is a Microsoft decision and not a Team Xbox decision, and I think that's why there's some internal frustration. There's some back and forth between Microsoft and Team Xbox happening right now. That would also explain why this has leaked the way it has, because there's frustration. Somebody inside is leaking this information. And if any of this is true, though, you might ask, well, why exactly would Microsoft strip power from people like Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond? And I think that really just all kind of comes down to the Activision Blizzard acquisition, or really even the Bethesda acquisition, or the various other acquisitions they've made since 2017. Microsoft suddenly has invested a lot of money into gaming, so they want a return on investment. And so far, it sounds like they might not necessarily be satisfied with what Xbox consoles has brought back to them. Now, we can make an argument that a decision like this is premature because, they acquired all of these companies to bolster Xbox and Xbox Game Pass, and to not even really give these studios the time to see if they can maybe improve those console sales and those subscription numbers. Yeah, you could kind of view that as premature. For the first time in a very long time, the Xbox consoles were set up to have a bright future. They had a load of exclusives, or at least that's what we thought, a load of exclusives coming to the platform, and that would have really given them an opportunity to maybe make an impact on console gaming. But that Activision Blizzard acquisition really seems like it's the breaking point for Microsoft. They're looking at that and how much trouble they had getting it past regulators, and they're like, if we have to make these games multi-platform, why are we just doing that with Activision Blizzard? Why don't we do that with all these other games that we have as well? PlayStation and Nintendo are far more successful as a console brand than we are. So I think that's Microsoft's rationale. But it's also important to take into consideration just how this could negatively impact the Xbox brand. See, the thing is that I think Team Xbox looks at Xbox as an ecosystem, whereas Microsoft might be looking at it more in the scope of a publisher. So, ecosystem versus publisher. Microsoft kind of wants to be the next Tencent. They just want to put their games wherever they can possibly be played and make a lot of money. Whereas Team Xbox, they're focused on delivering, great games for their diehard fan base and seeing if they can build that out throughout the future. See if they can get more people in their ecosystem, because having people within an ecosystem is also very beneficial. See, that's kind of some of the negatives that you have to take into consideration here. Let's just hypothetically say that they do go in this direction where they build out this new console, but they also put their games on PlayStation and Nintendo at a later date. Well, that could make a lot of people angry, and if a lot less people buys into your console, let's say that the next console only sells 15 million units. If that's the case, well, then not only would that negatively impact Xbox Game Pass, because most of your subscribers come from consoles, a lot less people would probably be subscribing in a situation like that, but also third parties might bail on Xbox as well. I mean, you have to realize that every third-party game sold, Xbox gets 30% of that money. So they could potentially say goodbye to all of that as well. On top of that, if less third-party games are supporting Xbox consoles, that means less third-party games are supporting Xbox Game Pass. So this does majorly impact the Xbox Game Pass and console business. Again, though, I mean, all of this is just currently rumors for the time being, but it does sound like something is brewing in the background. Not only is there a lot of rumors right now from some pretty credible people, I mean, there's a lot of smoke with this, but Phil Spencer did finally post his own response. You can see here he said, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." So the way that reads is that, yes, there might be some truth behind some of these rumors. Now, is it exactly as these rumors describe? I mean, I don't know. We talked about it before, but it sounds like not everything is finalized. And if that's the case, then even within the next 7 days, certain things can change, especially with some of the online reaction. Maybe they're seeing all that and they're kind of adjusting to that as well. That's something to take in mind here. And that's something else I want to bring to everybody's attention. I've seen so many Xbox fans get frustrated that other Xbox fans are saying that if this happens, they're going to leave Xbox. But you really shouldn't get mad over that. If there's any time to let your voice be heard, it's now. Because if you want any kind of input on the decisions they're making, as a fan, that's all you can do is let your voice be heard. So don't get mad at people for voicing their concerns. That's really all that they can do in a situation like this, is let themselves be heard and just kind of hope that Xbox will hear them. Again, though, it is important to keep in mind that all of this is just rumors until it's absolutely confirmed. Maybe their strategy is drastically different from what we're hearing. Maybe some of the information that we've heard is being blown out of proportion. Those are all things that we have to keep in mind, but it does sound like we will learn relatively soon on what exactly they have planned, because next week they do have that business event. Now, hypothetically, though, let's just go ahead and say that this does happen, though. Well, I've seen some people cheer this on. Not everybody is the biggest fan of Xbox, and there's a group of people out there that has rooted against them and has wanted them to go third party for a large portion of their life. But I don't think that this is good for gaming. As my longtime followers probably know, I'm a firm believer of competition breeds excellence. I have grown up with that belief because I played sports growing up. I know that competition, it builds character and it pushes you to be better. And that's what Xbox does for PlayStation, just as PlayStation does for Xbox. They push each other to be better. It also keeps them accountable. Without Xbox, PlayStation won't have to go the extra mile to get people on their platform. Their next console could then be $600+. They could raise the price of games even more. What about PlayStation Plus Extra? A reason that they were building that in the first place is because of Xbox Game Pass. But if Xbox Game Pass isn't successful, well, then why do they need to build PlayStation Plus Extra out to be this great service? They won't have the same incentives to get people to buy into their platform, and that can really affect a lot of different things. It can affect quality, it can affect prices, and just so much more. It also stifles innovation, and that's what I mean by competition breeds excellence. I mean, at the end of the day, though, who knows what's going to happen with all this? We're going to learn a lot next week, and I'm going to let you all know as soon as we find out more. But I want to hear your all's thoughts about all of this in the comments below. Is this something that concerns you? Do you think that the rumors are true? Do you think that they're being blown out of proportion? What do you think they're going to announce? And if they do announce a more multi-platform approach, how does it affect you as a gamer? I think for me, as a gamer, I play on all platforms. I grew up as a Nintendo kid. I've had every single PlayStation console, including their handhelds. And as for Xbox, I've been there since the first generation. So for me, I just like to play good games, and I'll continue to play Xbox games wherever they're put on as long as they're good. That's not a problem for me at all. But I also can't sit here and say that I like the idea of them leaving the console business or having this weird in-between setup where they're in console gaming, but it might not be that important. I've enjoyed their consoles for over 20 years now. I think they have a lot to offer, and I think they're great for competition. I don't know, though. I guess we'll learn more in the coming week. I wish we didn't have to wait a week, but, as soon as we find out more, of course, I'll let you all know. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this video. We will get back to a more normal schedule in the coming days, but just because of how important this topic was, I thought that it deserved my undivided attention. Till next time, though, peace out.